Welcome to Art of Hustle Season 3, Episode 2. Today, we have a very special guest with us, a serial entrepreneur, founder of world's first OTT platform, Incubez, showcasing the journey of entrepreneurs. He is also the chairman of Innovation and Technology at Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is a profile strategist, GTM strategist, and also a mentor to many of the founders. He is none other than Mr. Koushik Chitrapu. Sir, thank you for joining us.
It's
We're
always
glad to
pleasure.
have you.
Thank you.
So, without any further delay, let us dive right into your remarkable career and entrepreneurial journey.
Sure.
So, could you brief us about your startup?
Okay, so what I started right now, this is my fifth company. It's called Incubez, INCUBEZ, which is short form of incubation. It's not a rocket science to understand. Incubez OTT primarily is world's first OTT dedicated to global startup ecosystem. We started as an OTT as such, but right now the way we have evolved with regards to where we are standing right now is in fact we are a discovery and distribution platform for global startup ecosystem. So when I say discovery, right, what sort of discovery are we talking about, and what is the OTT about? So primarily what we always, or rather in my journey throughout from last 16 plus years, I've seen a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and whenever the situation was down, all I wanted to understand is if somebody else is in my shoes, right? If they get that sort of situation, how would they navigate? So let's say if I get a reference from 5 or 10 people, right, I would be able to understand probably this is the best way for me to navigate as such. But unfortunately, there are no ongoing stories told, right? So our whatever distributions that we have, be it Instagram or YouTube or I think that's their primary distribution channels as well. So most of the stories that we get to see are success stories. Now, if you look at the kind of success stories, podcast as well, you will probably understand that every successful founder probably had one or two failure stories behind, right? Probably that's what really helped them to become successful. Now, nobody talks about those failure stories. Nobody talks about what made them, go towards a certain direction or dimension, right? But let's say there are 100 startups. We all know that 99% is the failure rate of startups, right? 90+% is failure rate of startups across the world. And this happens primarily because of 5 visibility challenges. One is user acquisition, user retention, strategic partnerships, collaborations, investor startup visibility, connects. And most importantly, there is no centralized discovery or distribution, and there is no reference also. So that's where I thought, why can't we start creating ongoing journeys of people? Because end of the day, when I talk about discovery, it's primarily at every juncture of a startup, right? There are multiple stages of startups. Idea stage to start with, then you talk about MVP, then you talk about pilot, then you talk about launch, then you talk about early traction, then you talk about growth stage, then series A, B, C, D, right? So at every juncture of the startup journey, we all need collaborations, we all need partners, we definitely need more funds to scale, right? Now, how do somebody sit at a place and figure out, how can I find a certain company who can be a good collaborator to me? And for you to identify the collaboration or partnership, you need to understand what is their story, right? Because a lot of times what happens is, see, startups as such is chaos. It's chaos everywhere. Now, how can we bring structure around chaos is by letting the other stories out, right? So once I watch this particular story, then I'll be able to understand. I might get a gut feel, or I'm probably it's easy for me to understand if this is something that really matches to what others are doing, right? So I'll be able to find my collaborations, my partners, And the reason why we cover multiple stakeholders also is the same. For example, we cover founder journeys, we cover investors journeys, we cover enablers journeys, we cover mentors journeys. There is a very strong reason why we cover so many stakeholders. For example, founders, as I said, it's easy for me to discover collaborations or partners. The reason why we cover investors as such is because, as I said, everybody needs funds, and every investor needs a very good startup, very good founder as well, right? Right now, what is happening as such is the moment we see investor tag in LinkedIn, people start bombing the pitch decks, and 99% of the times we don't even get a response. There is a strong reason why, because every investor has their own thesis, every investor has their own checklist, every investor has their own prerequisites, every investor has their own priority industries where they want to invest. Now, how will somebody, who's trying to look out for founders, would be able to know if this is the checklist, that I would fall into or not? So we started taking investors' journeys, so that we started putting all this checklist out. So it helps founders to understand if they're falling into the checklist. It becomes easy for them to quickly reach out to that investor, and probably the conversion time on this typical cycle time for us is 90 to 120 days. We are aiming to bring it down to 30 by bringing this list out, so that everything else is pretty straightforward.
So basically, it's a clear map for
Absolutely,
those who wants to
absolutely,
start.
right. And the reason why we cover enablers is we all need enabler, a network, wherein see all it takes for us is somebody opening us doors to go to the next level. Now, who are those enablers? What do they enable? With regards to what I am looking for, is it matching or not? So that's the reason why we started creating enabler stories. Then, most importantly, mentor stories as well, right? Because not everybody would be able to understand that there are multiple mentors at multiple stages that comes in, and as a founder, we often don't know when exactly should I reach out to what sort of mentor, right? See, marketing mentor is different, operational mentor is different, fundraising mentor is different, principal mentor is different. Now, in a startup journey, whom I should reach out to at what point, so that I would be able to get the right guidance, is a big question mark. So that's where we started creating mentor journeys as well. Now, this became a centralized platform for startup ecosystem. And usually a lot of events that happens, right? Most of the founders go to the event, be it 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees, people are ready to pay for the ticket to go for that 45 minutes to 2 hours event, is with the hope that they would be able to find some collaboration, some partner, some investor, some mentor. What we started saying is, dude, if you can't go, it's okay. You still have, Incubez.com, wherein you can just open and start understanding, who could be the right fit for you for your particular journey, right? So, in short, what we started creating is, you can discover your partners, your investors, or investors can discover you as founders, or mentors or enablers in one distribution channel, that is Incubez OTT.
Like, the first time I read about this Incubez was like, it's mind blowing. Sorry.
Is it? May I know why?
I've never heard of it before, actually.
Right,
So
right.
podcast or whatever it is.
Right.
Yes, it was amazing.
And the most surprising thing, I got this idea of building it, right? Then I know me and my co-founder Nivya, we almost took 1.5 years while shooting different founders and stuff. We did not even incorporate the company because I was still skeptical why in 500 plus crore people that nobody else got this idea, because this is something that
That's what make you guys unique.
eventually we had to accept that probably it's only us. Let's face it, right? I think that's where the positioning also became very cool to start with, because we are world's first OTT around startup ecosystem, and there is also this curiosity that initial founders had when we reached out to them for interview. They're like, dude, what is this? We never heard of an OTT for startups, right? I think that probably helped us for the initial traction as well. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're also surprised.
So I'm sure you have faced a lot of challenges setting Incubez to what it is now.
So challenge pretty much is
Yeah.
part of the whole game.
What are those and what kept you going?
So see, primarily you guys are doing podcasts. You understand the challenge with regards to getting a guest onto the
Yes.
chair, right? Because everybody is busy. Everybody has their own schedules. And especially initially when the company itself was not something that is visible, when we reached out to people, I reached out to a lot of them over LinkedIn, right? So my the way I used to construct the message also for them, it evolved over time. So I used to first explain about, hi, I'm Koushik Chitrapu, I'm so and so, I've been into entrepreneurship from quite a long time now. So this is something cool that we are trying to do, and we would like to invite you as a guest. Now, the conversion ratio probably was around 1-2% because first of all, we need to add all the founders on our LinkedIn, then reach out to them. Like probably, let's say, for example, if I send invitation to 100 people, probably around 50 people would accept it because my profile anyways is little, strong because I'm already an entrepreneur by then. Out of 50, so I used to send message to all 50 that, we are doing this is something that we would like, you to accept, why don't you come down, all of that. Out of 50, probably 10 people used to respond to the messages. Out of 10, 5 people probably were available on a particular dates. Now colliding everybody's dates and doing it together is also a challenge. Then out of 5, let's say, or 2 or 3 are available on a particular date. Now that is only at the message level. Then comes the actual conversion as well, right? So we exchange numbers, and then because people want to know more about what I'm doing and why am I doing, right? The best part is a lot of investors actually is a bigger challenge than the founders themselves, because at least founders needs visibility. There would be some conversion ratio that is comparatively easy, but investors probably are like the toughest people as such, because of their schedules, because of their work, all of that. And because they come from a lot of experience, the kind of questions that they used to ask, right? I think out of experience, it was easy for me to explain why, what, as I said, why do we need an OTT when there is YouTube, right? These are common questions that we used to get. And it takes a lot of patience also, I have to constantly, it's patience, persistence, perseverance. Everything comes into the place for us to get things on track, right? So I used to explain investors, answer all these complex questions, which is, I think, very understandable where they are coming from. But the best part is, let's say, we have done shoots across India, right? From Hyderabad to Himachal Pradesh, we went around, right? We have covered 250 plus journeys so far. We covered few stories from Singapore, a few from Kenya, a few from Tokyo, and now we recently finished our US shoots as well. But then, initially back then, nothing was there. For us to even showcase, to convince, nothing was there. Now the credibility is there for them to understand who we are, and it's easy. But back then it was like super tough. So the biggest challenge was to stick to patience, stick to perceive consistently what we are doing, and I think that's what got us wherever we are today. And I insist everybody that everybody needs patience. It takes a lot, right? But yeah, finally we were able to get the. So the best part is somebody traveling for 3 hours, 4 hours to come to the studio, wait for their turn, and to give their story. I think that's the biggest validation that people, important people, or famous people, or successful people, or people trying to do something big. Everybody waited because they believed in what we are doing, and I think they gave their share to us. But yeah, that's when the challenge got a little better. Yes.
So, what did it take how did you feel, sir, when Incubez got listed in 200 top 200 Forbes the global.
Folks, I think, that's the moment when I think the whole, whole world around me started taking me more seriously. See, it's a very big validation for us, right? So, what happened initially is I was hesitating a bit to tell people that this is world's first OTT around startup ecosystem. Why don't you come and stuff, right? And to build that curiosity, I used to also message investors on LinkedIn saying, we are Netflix for startups. We would like to have a conversation with you. And they're like, what? Netflix for startups? What are you talking about, right? And when we got through, Forbes 200 list, which is very um, big milestone for us, I would say, because later I got to know. So we were selected amongst 33 countries, 8,300 odd entrepreneurs. They only selected 200 and we are one amongst them, right? And if you look at the kind of list in Forbes India website as well, the other startups that got selected along with us, there are companies like Lenskart, there are companies like MyGate, there are companies like Mivi, I think, which were doing sizably more than 100 crores, 150 crores, 200 crores revenues. And I was skeptical of that reason because we are growing, right? We have very good content, like we started creating our base. But what they actually felt, it seems that this is a noble startup that even after 5 years or 10 years, it's very important for people to discover, somebody for their growth. And that's what felt, more happy, more validating for us. But the process was also very tough. It was not straightforward, right? First, initially, they had a 45 minutes call with us. Then they took more than 1 month time to even say that if we are through or not. I almost thought, it's impossible because it's Forbes India, right? It's not that easy. And after 1 month, we got an email saying, dude, this is a five pages exam that you have to write. Then the second round was about filling that five different documents. And most of the questions looks like something that you already answered, but you still have to again, right? And quote unquote, it's easy to find out if it is a ChatGPT answer or your answer also. So that is something that I have to, we had to write, and then again they took more than 1 month time. Then they said, there is this third round again. You have to go through panel discussion, right? So there were 5 panel people that started asking questions to us so crazily that even before me finishing the answer of the first question, immediately the second question and third question were started posting on us. And the logic there is, see, primarily if you are a founder who has built something from nothing, right? It's your journey day in day out. So you don't hesitate or take time to answer something. So that's something I think they were also evaluating. And that is the reason why they were all fast questions and stuff. So we went through that third round as well, and that is when after 1 month we got the confirmation that we are. Now the best part of what I was telling is, so initially it was us who were telling that we were world's first OTT around startup ecosystem. And when Forbes India published that this is world's first OTT around startup ecosystem, I think it's true, right? We don't have to literally, I don't feel anything about saying it out. Now that's, I think, was the best part on the whole. It's easy for our, to showcase our credibility, to get the conversations and to get best of the best guests that are lined up. In fact, we also signed, a collaboration with 30 plus hubs, which are, at the execution phase right now. Like for example, we have partnered with Thai Hyderabad. So they did an event called Thai 50. They have selected 50 top Telangana startups and they awarded all of them. Now their stories exclusively are going to be there only on Incubez OTT, right? So these sort of things that are coming up, I think it's going to be interesting. So one of the other challenges that we initially had as such was with regards to editing. Why I said editing is because, see, most of the senior editors, right, they become editors because of their love towards movies and stuff. and corporate gigs probably are more like gigs for them to make quick money and stuff. But so the challenge, why I said it is a challenge, because the startup language is not something the editors used to understand initially. So what I used to do as such is, so I was able to get a very good editor, chief, who is our chief editor even now, right? So I used to meet him in Paradise in the night around 12 o'clock, because that is when they get free from their regular works and stuff. So we used to go to this Paradise Signal, take left, park our bikes or cars there, open the laptops and sit just beside the road. From 12 o'clock to at least 3 to 4 in the morning, I used to tell him what is the meaning of this question, what is that the guest was explaining. So where we need to cut, where we can let it go and stuff. That is how I used to explain, and he used to understand it. And it went to that level. So we almost did this for more than a year, as such, because see, when we do full podcasts or full stories, right? We create full stories in a structure. So what we cover is 0 to 1 journeys. What we cover is their PMF, product market fit. How did each of these startup crack their product market fit? We used to cover about their growth outreach, because at every juncture everybody needs collaborations of partners. So we used to clearly ask what is their growth outreach at this point, whom are they looking for. So that is one set. Then we used to understand the positioning of product and service. What is it they are doing? Because end of the day, it is the discovery platform, right? People need to understand what is the positioning of founder, positioning of startup, positioning of their product or service, their 0 to 1 journey, their PMF journey, the growth outreach. So this is the whole structure, including pitching. We also cover pitching stories. So this structure is not something that anybody would be able to understand just like that, especially the editors. So I used to make them sit, understand, this is the structure for us. So every day we used to work until 5 o'clock on roadside. There was this funny story that happened with patrolling police as well. Like, they understood, they have seen us for a week, they questioned every day, they used to ask us to leave, all of that. And after 1 week they used to come and ask, ఎక్కడ దాకా వచ్చింది మీ ఎడిటింగ్ బాగానే అవుతుందా, ఓకే, they used to leave. So they also understand. We used to do that till morning, and we got used to that cycles. And our editors now became so perfect in that they teach me where to cut, where not to cut. Right? So, and this goes on even today, while editors are doing their job. For example, last night I sat until 5 o'clock in the morning, because we started packaging content in multiple ways. Like, if you look at incubez.com, you can now find founders playbook. What is a playbook about? One section is about figuring out series, one is product market fit series. So I think making this packages also helps for quick consumption of content that is really necessary for other founders to be able to discover or help them navigate, right? So last night until 5 o'clock also I was trying to package, and it is 1 hour, 2 hour, videos that we have to listen, remember, and then understand. Probably, for this sort of early stage founders, this is a message that can really help them. So we package that, put it in the reels and stuff, right? So that's a regular routine for us as such, right? But yeah. That's what happened, and probably that's the only reason why I got a little delayed to this set as well. My apologies for that. Yeah.
Was entrepreneurship always your plan, or it was unexpected?
No, I think entrepreneurship, like, if you look at, as I said, I started in 2010. Until then, I worked for 5 years in different corporates. So my last job was also into business analyst, right? I was into EVPR, business process engineering with Six Sigma. That's when I was exposed more towards business operations, like how many functions are there in the business, what is operations, or what is finance, or what is all of that. Then, but if you look at when I started my own in 2010, there are hardly 200 and odd startups across India, right? And right now, if you look at the kind of numbers, it is somewhere around 210,000 startups. But what really, so the word entrepreneurship probably often became more fancy and stuff, and or more common also. But back then, entrepreneurship was like super no. From the family, from friends, they're like, dude, don't even get there, right? And especially my parents are advocates, they're into professional service. So they don't understand what is on the paper, what is startup. And unfortunately, startup most of the times is on the paper, even before you get to see what is happening, right? But one thing what really pushed me throughout my journey, I think, is identity thirst. So whatever I did, wherever I was, I always wanted to let the world know that if there is a certain job, right, people have to blindly think that this belongs to Koushik, only Koushik can handle this. So I was always clear that I needed my identity, and I don't say I never worried about identity because I always fought within myself to make sure that I get my identity wherever I go. I think once my corporate jobs are done, that's when I wanted to do something again, probably because of identity to start with. Then I seriously got into understanding, what it takes to build something on something like this. And the kind of recognition you typically get as an entrepreneur is completely different of it, right? Now, probably, there are a lot of founders, so it probably became very common, but back then it was not. So I think, yeah, it is the identity that, identity thirst that always got me into doing something like this.
As the chairman of innovation and technology at Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, what exactly are your responsibilities, sir, and how does it align with your startup?
No, it's definitely not about the startup. It's more to do with businesses, multiple businesses coming together with regards to enabling them towards a certain dimension of growth, right? Primary work of Telangana Chamber of Commerce. In fact, the best part, one of the best milestones that I had in my journey is Telangana Chamber of Commerce, because as part of the job, I started interacting with a lot of consulate journals, a lot of officials, which probably didn't, allow me to have an access when I'm just a founder, initially in my initial days. But eventually, I started mentoring a lot of startups. Then I started, probably getting noticed more. And then Telangana Chamber of Commerce president actually looks like knows me. Like, we have met before, we understand each other. And then he randomly one day invited me, and then I went. Then he explained, this is what we are doing in Chamber of Commerce, and what he really was focusing on is to start something on innovation and technology side, because most of Telangana Chamber of Commerce is around industries and exports and manufacturing, all of that stuff. But innovation and technology, they needed somebody from the industry itself. So when he got to know that I'm mentoring, with startups, and I'm part of IT Bombay itself from last 2 years as mentor, then he's like, why don't you come? And then we spoke, and then this happened. And the best part, in fact, November and December, I was also in US, because Chamber of Commerce conducted something called Telangana Connects USA, to invite a lot of industry people, HNIs, UHNIs, investors to come to Hyderabad, invest in Hyderabad, so that they also get a lot of ESOPs benefits. There is this one program that is happening right now. Like if somebody from US, let's say, or anywhere across the world who wants to invest or set up a manufacturing industry in Telangana, right? If they're ready to invest 25%, there are banks that are associated with us who are ready to fund until 75% to them. So the primary objective is to create more jobs, create more products from Telangana, to scale it to the rest of the world. I think the mission itself is very amazing, right? So that way, I also started, on the information and technology side, wherein I started meeting startups, I started meeting tech companies, I started explaining them, how they can be part of Telangana ecosystem as such. But if you look at the whole ecosystem from Telangana side, probably techie is trying to do a very good job on its own at the minimal level to make it maximum again. But yeah, that's the journey, how it happened with Telangana Chamber of Commerce, and it's just not with my startup. I think, a lot of startups would get enabled through Telangana Chamber of Commerce.
As a founder yourself, what do you think is the basic financial planning required for a person?
Financial planning to do a startup?
Yeah.
I think how much ever you have, I think is going to fall short. So it's always, so what I insist to a lot of founders as such is, see, first, most important thing, startup at the initial stage until it reaches a growth, right? It's all about founders. Who is driving it and how are we, how are we thinking it as founders? Now, for example, let's say at the initial phase, while we started going from city to start covering, meeting people, covering stories. Imagine what would have happened if I am sleeping just for 20 days, right? The works get stuck wherever it got stuck, gets piled up, and then it will not move forward, right? So founders are the primary people who has to drive the whole factor until it reaches a growth. So what it takes to the founders at different levels, mentally, financially, emotionally, it takes a lot. And that is not something that people often realize at the initial phase, but while they start pushing, right? So typically most of the times what happens is, let's say you have 10 rupees. You have an idea, you want to build it. Unknowingly, you might end up spending 7 or 8 rupees only on building the platform to make it look wow. And the left out 2 or 3 rupees wouldn't be sufficient for you to hire team or put on marketing or letting the world know that there is a product like this. So when I mentor, I clearly tell founders that let's take it in a milestone stage, right? Milestone phase. Let's say to start with, even if you have 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. Now, if you are imagining or visualizing 10 different features for your solution for a particular problem, first thing, of course, you have to go through all of the validations, all of that stuff, make sure that your solution is viable. But after that, you don't have to literally invest in all 10 features to start with. Probably start doing 1 or 2 features where out of 5 rupees or 5 lakhs, whatever, I'm just telling you as an example. Out of 5 rupees, if you put 1 or 2 rupees only towards building those important 1 or 2 features where you can onboard pilot customers and test it in the market, I think that saves a lot of time, effort, and resources as well, along with finance. Then, if the moment you get pilot results, let's say there are 3 people to 30 people who are saying that okay, this is something that we can use, or rather, this is where it is missing. Why don't you, customize it according to what we want, right? Then founder also would start understanding where to pivot, because 99.9% of the times it is the market which teaches us what market needs versus what we think as the app solution, right? So you should always keep your buffer ready to be able to use it for pivot of those 1 or 2 features also, to make sure it is fitting into the right problem statement. Then it becomes easy for you to go from there. And fortunately right now, with the kind of awareness that entrepreneurs or founders or the ecosystem as such has, there are a lot of hubs, right from T-Hub or V-Hub or Draper Startup House, or in fact Co-Karma also, being a co-working space, it is also an ecosystem. We cover the story of Tarun. It's very, very interesting. And all of these people, their intent is to enable such startups. So at every stage, you always have to look out for more resources to be able to save your left out funds buffer, to understand if this is the right fit or not. Then the moment you get incubated or accelerated somewhere, right, or incubated for example, you would be able to get some support from there, from the central government itself. The moment you get Startup India, you can apply. You will probably end up getting a grant based on what you're doing and where you're doing, how innovative are you, or all of that stuff. If you are getting grant, it is well and good. Otherwise, you getting accepted under some incubation is also a very good part, because it creates a lot of validation for your idea that somebody incubated already, right? then the angel investors would also be interested to come a step forward and support you because somebody else already validated you. There is it's not zero then, it is at least 1 or 2 stage. So until you figure out, until you reach out to an angel investor, I think minimum of the minimum, you always have to keep ready. So in short, if you ask me how much does a startup need, that's a very, very generic answer if I have to really give. But until you have at least 20 lakhs access to you, I think don't get into startups. That's my take based on how I have seen the traction. And the best part is, see, even the investors, right? We have covered a lot of investor stories. Every investor, or most of the investors, always told us that they want to first invest on the founder. Then comes the idea. So it is naturally curious question for us, why founders, right? So what investors say is, see, a lot of times what you think is the solution might not be the actual solution that market wants. But when market teaches you what is the solution or how do you have to pivot, is the founder capable to adapt to what market is teaching and would be able to pivot or not, is the most interesting and important factor for investor. If the founder is capable enough to adapt to what market needs and would be able to change the solution, I think they are the right founders for these investors to invest on.
As a mentor and also as a founder, how do you manage both, sir? Like,
I think, see, it's always interesting for us, day in, day out, we get to meet a lot of people. It's always about talking about what they are doing versus what we are doing, how is it going, right? We always try to pick up a lot of pointers from the other journeys, others navigating, factor. Like how are these people navigating? Let's say if somebody is into B2C, it's a capital intensive industry. How are these people navigating? Did they get funds? How did they get funds? So we learn automatically from from meeting different people, and exactly the same thing what we teach as well, or what we say. And most of the times it's not about it's not about saying no. It's not about saying yes. It's always about asking the right questions as mentor, because founders can figure out. All they need is somebody questioning them, is this the only format or is this the best format that you could do? What is the alternate you think? Let's say if this doesn't work out, right? What else? Now, as a mentor, I primarily focus more on founders' mindset than the actual solution itself, because end of the day, it is the founders who has to drive the solution, right? So I make sure I tell them. I usually say a lot of people also, entrepreneurship sort of journey is, let's say if it is 100x on the outside, it is probably 1000x within us as founders, because we face a lot of backlash, we face a lot of rejections. It takes a lot of patience for us to get to the next milestone, to understand, to meet people, to convince everybody day in, day out. Right? And it takes a lot for us as a human, on our mind as well. So I would rather focus on those things, make them understand what is the best way for them to approach according to me versus how you can adapt to your personality. Because usually what works for you might not really work for me, because again, the personality matters, right? There are introverts, there are extroverts, there are so many other personalities. Now, as a mentor, what I always look at is, if you are placing an introvert in a marketing job or an extrovert in a desk job, is never going to work out, because their personality is not, doesn't support that particular journey, right? So that's important for me to understand what sort of personality they are versus how they can approach based on that. I think these factors makes it more easy for founders as well to pick up wherever they are stuck and then just move forward. And end of the day, mentoring is only about sharing your experiences versus what you know, how you know, what best you think is the right way to do it. Not that founders don't know. Probably they also might have thought about it. But it is always about having the second level, third level validation, right questions to be posted to them so that they can figure out and probably right connections through us, because we already have certain a journey behind us, so we know at least whom to connect, where to connect. So it won't be a takeoff at 0 point. Probably the takeoff might happen at 5 or 10 if you have the right mentors.
As a startup mentor, what differences have you observed between organizations that have been succeeded and to those which are not?
I think so. I am pretty much like a collection of multiple people's experience already by now, because we spoke to a lot of founders, right? A lot of successful founders, a lot of founders who are already in that journey and stuff. Now, what we really understood is until primarily for 0 to 1 to 0 to 10, it is the founder who's going to drive the whole idea, solution, startup and stuff. After 10, it is the team that is going to drive and take it to 100, from 10 to 100. But it is the culture of the startup that will take the startup from 100 to 1000 and 10,000. Right, so this I think is the right way to look at, and right format probably is also that to do, which I think we are also on the go, on the journey that way.
As the super GTM strategist, what do you think is the best strategy for marketing?
It's a very interesting question, and I think it's a very important question as well, because a lot of founders, like for example, so we in 2018, me and my co-founder Nivya started a company called Super GTM, because for my second startup, what I have identified is when we wanted to push out our edtech product, we couldn't find one particular marketing agency which dealt with offline, online, all of that together. So we always used to talk to agencies and understand, okay, these are digital marketing people, and these are offline marketing people. This is exclusive SEO company, and this is affiliate marketing company. So there are multiple partners, but there is no one place where. But problem is, for a founder, when you want to really take your product into the market, all of this is something that you need together. Now, let's say, for example, if I want to spend 1 lakh on the marketing, right? It is the strategy that helps us understand why do we have to put 10% of it in digital, 10% of it in offline, 10% of it in affiliate, all of that. So it is my strategy from my company side that helps me understand whom to onboard and where to onboard and why to onboard, right? But problem is, if you don't have strategy and if you reach out to any of these agencies, they say that your 100% should be in digital marketing.
Yeah.
If you reach out to offline, they say that your 100% should be on offline marketing. And most of the times, founder doesn't understand the marketing part. Probably they end up, spending everything there, and then it will be too late for them to realize that now they're out of funds and can't push the product anymore, right? So the biggest problem is the strategy part itself. Now, when I say strategy, right, most of the times, most of the founders also, get an idea that strategy is something that they fancy. It's not about somebody's whims and fancies, or they think that whatever plan they got is a good strategy, right? Strategy is different, your plan is different. Now, there are tools for you to put your plans into it and bring out strategy out of it. Now, for example, even in my other journeys, I clearly explained there are two primary strategies that are there out there in the market. One is red ocean strategy, one is blue ocean strategy. Now, red and blue, clearly the tools are laid out. Clearly, you need to understand why somebody has to do a SWOT, strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, or somebody has to look at the pestle analysis when it comes to red ocean sort of tools, right? Or why should somebody look at ERRC grade? Why should somebody understand how the litmus test works? All of this in blue ocean strategy. Or red ocean says you have to look at your competitors, you have to look at your competition and understand how different are you. Versus when blue ocean strategy says you create your own market space, you try to understand who are your non-customers, how can they become your customers. So everything is a tool. So you have to do as much market research as possible, put that research into these tools and try to bring out a right strategy that can absolutely work for you. So we always used to say in Super GTM also, the caption or the tagline itself is plan, position, promote. So the promotion part comes at the end. Planning and positioning is something that is absolutely important and curious. I mean, it's a very serious thing. And unfortunately, a lot of tech founders also don't understand, marketing side of it. So they end up depending on agencies, and again the same problem goes on. So I insist every tech company should have one marketing guy, and every marketing or at least every non-tech company should have a tech guy and a marketing guy as well. I think that helps at the initial level for the takeoff, especially for 0 to 1, because that is where more than 33 to 38% of startups fail usually. I think strategy helps a lot. So we say that 80% of the effort should go to planning, so that 20% of the execution automatically comes out. I think that's about Super JTM, why it started and stuff.
With all the knowledge you have as of now, if you were given a chance to, put a startup again, what industry would you choose?
No, so my drive, I'll be very frank, I think I did not share this with anybody else. See, we have 140 crore people in India, right? And the only distribution channels that we consume the content from are Instagram and YouTube, which are not built here. So unfortunately, we don't have a distribution of our own. Somebody has to step up. Somebody has to create a distribution across the world where the other countries also would start, using our distribution, right? So I always wanted to create a distribution from India in such a way that it is unique, it has the right positioning, and it is the right place where a lot of problems can get solved. Now the best part, when in November and December when I was in US, right? So we went to New Mexico State. We met all the like we met Economic State Development CEO. We met cabinet secretaries. We met mayors. We met New Mexico Technology Council CEO. So they everybody were like, oh, we never heard of an OTT for startups. This is amazing, right? They started introducing us to startups. Now there is this one health tech startup, out of all the bunch that I spoke to. They started from New Mexico State. They were able to scale to 33 states and US. Now their vision is to become Fortune 500 company. My only question was, for a company like you who want to become Fortune 500 companies without capturing markets like India or China, right? How can you do that? And they're like, exactly our problem statement, we don't know how to get our visibility in the other countries. I said, that's where we come in, right? That's what Incubez is all about. And they immediately signed up with us. We covered their story. And we also released a trailer recently, which totally makes sense. So we all want to scale beyond India. We all want to scale to US, scale to Dubai, scale to Australia probably, but yeah, all over the world. And other countries also would want, there are a lot of investors from US and other parts of country, world, who wants to invest in Indian startups. Now, how will they get to know that there are these good startups in Warangal, in Nizamabad, or in Hyderabad, or in Surat, or in Bardoli? Now, where is one distribution, where is one discovery? Where is a distribution for it, right? So that's the biggest reason why, I also wanted to create Incubez. In fact, the best part, I can absolutely say, the kind of collaborations that happened because of us from the beginning, right? There is this one F&B startup from Goa is able to solve a big business problem for an F&B in Bangalore because they watched the story on Incubez. There are multiple startups who got VCE inquiries and investor inquiries and got investments because they watched the story on Incubez. And there are multiple startups. Like, for example, one of the fashion startup from Gujarat collaborated with a fashion startup in Manali, Himachal Pradesh, because they watched the story on Incubez. I think that's where we wanted to solve. Like, if we take a step back, we are clearly able to understand that all these people needed one place where they can look into, they can understand the story, and they can connect. And I think, so if I have to start again, I would still think about creating a distribution from India to the world.
I need to tell you, sir, the more we beginners know about Incubes, the more the surprises it is coming up with.
I'm sure.
Amazing.
I'm sure. See, the best part would be, let's say, even after 5 years or 10 years, if somebody wants a collaboration, somebody wants a partner, or somebody wants investor, right? One place they could blindly think of would be Incubes. Because YouTube and all are really great distributions, but primarily focused on entertainment. Now, for example, if you go type healthcare, or let's say you just type term sheet in YouTube, the first 100 videos in YouTube that you get would be around the theory of term sheet. But do I, as a founder, at the juncture where I have to verify if the term sheet that I got from the investor is right or not, right? Probably I don't need a theory anymore. If you come to Incubes and type term sheet, right, you would be able to see those journeys of how other founders navigated their term sheet journey, navigated their investment journey. I think that is the right reference for me to be able to understand how do I navigate from the point I am at, right? So that's where our differentiation. A lot of people, I told you, initially asked, when YouTube is there, why do we need a separate platform? This is where you need a separate platform, because this is not bound by any of the algorithms. It is clearly meant to solve for a particular depth, that is startup ecosystem. So I think we'll drive more of that going forward.
Lastly,
Please.
what advice would you be giving to the aspiring entrepreneurs?
Okay, I got a lot of advices from different people, and this is a question that I also ask a lot of people, right? But if I have to summarize, I think there are a couple of advices that I would give. Life is short, startup, which I think Vijay Baura taught me. Don't mistake your passion is something that is going to make you money, because passion is at its place, and probably your strength to make money could be something else. Like, for example, there is this question that we ask every entrepreneur in our journey as well, in our shoots, that what do you think is the threshold for passion, right? Because we have met entrepreneurs who have been working on a particular idea for more than 10 years, realized it's not really helping them survive, had to shut off, right? So it doesn't mean your passion. So typically, the threshold for passion is when you understand that it is not helping for your survival. I think don't mix your passion with that. So that's something that I really want everybody to understand, that figure out what are your strengths, where you can make money versus if your passion. In fact, one of the beautiful answers that I got from one of the founders in Chennai, Thangavel Pohal, his name is that, he's the founder for Diginado. He gave a very beautiful explanation, right? So when we asked something like passion versus market need, what is more important? Then he said, see, when you're trying to solve something, it is obvious that you face challenges. But somebody who has passion would be able to drive through those challenges in a much better way than somebody who doesn't have the passion. I think that's where passion helps you to be able to drive through the challenges, right? So don't mistake that. These are all one and the same. Because I'm passionate about driving, I will probably launch an automobile. Good, like if it works out for you, but it is something that you need to validate by yourself, because that's when the market comes into the picture, because at the end of the day it is the market who has to pay you, right? So I think these are the basic things. But one last advice that I give is YOLO, you only live once, take your best shot, do whatever you can, even if you fail, that's okay. At least you tried. I think that's more important. But if you want to try seriously, understand that there are tools available for you, there is ecosystem available for you, nothing wrong in asking. Ask, whatever you need, whenever you are stuck, just ask. I think you'll be able to find solution from anywhere or elsewhere. I think that's my only advice. Probably a lengthy advice, but chill. Who cares?
Okay. To keep the mood alive, we'll have a quick rapid fire, sir.
Sure.
And you'll have to answer in a split second.
I think all the answers also I was answering like rapid fire only. Right? I did not take any space in between probably, but yeah, please.
Okay. So the first one, technical scalability or market scalability?
I think technology is only an enabler. Market scalability, end of the day, is going to decide your scale.
Okay. Scale first or sustain first?
Sustain, always.
Quality or quantity?
Depends. But if I have to choose, it depends again. Because quantity probably works out in certain places. Like for example, I think one of the algorithms in social media, people say consistency. So irrespective of whatever is the quality, I think if you are posting every day, I think algorithms recognizes that this fellow is consistent. So because he's giving quantity, let us show him. So it comes from different places, right? But if I have to choose, quality always is probably the best.
Subscription model or advertisement based model?
In India, it is advertisement based. Subscription is, we are not subscription market yet. But I think everywhere else, most of the West is subscription market. But again, always try freemium model first. Give it for free, make people understand, and then go for the premium options for it.
Competition or collaboration?
So there is also one word called co-opetition, where you collaborate with your competition, because you can always supplement, support each other with complementing skills. So I think co-opetition.
Okay, you have interacted with many successful founders. So what is the one thing you observed, like one common thing you observed in all these?
They're all mad. They just want to make it happen. That really gave us a lot of drive, because when such people travel so much, come to your place and give you time, right? That is a bigger validation for us as well at every stage. That has been. But they're all mad about making things happen at any cost, and they understand. And the best part is, it is not a failure, that they are worried about. They are only worried about how to learn from it and then push forward. I think that's what made them whatever they are today. Yeah.
That brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thank you, sir, for your meaningful insights. I'm sure everyone who are watching this are feeling inspired, including me myself.
Sure.
I am mesmerized by Incubez.
As in, we have come a long way, so we still have the whole world to conquer. Let's see. Thank you.
To all those who are thinking to put a startup, you have right here your base foundation. Your Incubez is right here. So thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you so much.
Joining us.
Thank you.
So,
It's
for
pleasure.
more such conversations and podcasts, do follow Art of Hustle. This is your host, Rima, signing off.